Hello and welcome to part 3 of the world's fastest 4200 drag project. If you haven't seen parts 1 or 2, click the link at the top of the page to get caught up. In part 1 was the complete engine assembly process. Then in part 2 was the pieces needed to install the engine and prepare to get the engine running. In this part, I'll show the engine's first fire up. Then we go to the dyno to work on anti-lag tuning and make a couple test passes. Then off to the drag strip, where we find a big problem. That'll be the next hurdle to becoming the world's fastest 4200 drag car. So sit back and enjoy. Alright, so we got the car pushed outside. There's the new coiled packs on the engine. Everything's all assembled. We're ready for first fire up. So I'll put the camera back on the mount, prime the oil, and hit the key, see what it does. Okay, so after the dyno session, we were able to go back through our data on the Holly Dominator and look at some things. So we'll open the data log file, and we're on our fuel tuning, and you can see in the light green, that's our RPM, and at this point we're at 4,600 RPM, and at this point 7,500 RPM is where the engine actually lifted. Pink is showing 100% TPS throughout that entire time. Our map pressure, if we put that back on there, is 225 kPa at the end of the run. So it did make boost. And our actual AFR, let's go ahead and turn those two. Our target AFR was 11.9 at the end of the run, and our actual was 12.1. So we're really close on target to actual AFR, about 2-3% variation there. So was happy with that. We go to our sensors. Again, we're looking still at the same last run 3, and we can see that coolant pressure was 10 psi, very good. Crankcase pressure was actually in a vacuum of 2.5 psi. That means the dry sump pump is keeping the engine evacuated and in a vacuum, which helps in ring seal. Again, very good. Everything is looking good. Then we get down to turbo back pressure, and we see 0. After this run, we went ahead and tested the sensor, and it is accurate. So that's giving us an indication of where some of our problem was with the anti-lag tuning and with the boost levels running on the dyno. But at this point, we might as well take it to the track and see what it does. So that's what we did.
Oh, awesome. Oh, right, I'm going. Pull back on the zipper. Got it.
We're ready for Christmas. Look at him.
Yeah.
No,
All the same spots, right?
you go, bro.
Sorry. All right, after a dismal outing at the drag strip, but the engine did its job and ran the entire day, 0 issues. But we did still have the issues with no boost or low boost. So here's the data log on the very last run, and you can see that launched the car right around 4,100 RPMs, but it was making only about 2 pounds of boost. And it's slowly all the way out to here until it actually made boost at 66,000 RPM, and then it made boost and went up to our looks like 240 kPa. So we'll go to the data log. Here's the data log of that run. You can see here where wide open throttle was. So this is the actual area. Is on the 2-step, made boost, launched the car, and it went forward without accelerating and not making any boost. Let me take off the fuel and just show TPS. And so here's our boost curve. You can see all the way out here to 5,500 RPM before it started creating any kind of boost. And then it went to shift point, and out the back door. And out here, it made a highest spot of 257 kPa. So going down track, it did make boost. And this really became confusing to us. We thought maybe the converter was too tight. We tried a bunch of different things with the anti-lag. We just couldn't seem to figure it out. but we knew we had an issue, because if we could make, at this point where he let go of the trans brake, if it accelerated, if it made boost and went up that way, obviously the car would be much faster and we'd be much closer to our actual target of the world's fastest 4200. So during this run, it did run 155 mile an hour out the back door of the track, but the ET was bad, terrible. It was a 10 second, like a 10 flat run. So after that, we knew we had to do something. We thought about it for a couple days, and then we decided that we needed to take the turbo apart and take a look at it. So that's what we did. So after our trip to the drag strip, which was not a good outing at all, and going over the data logs and seeing zero back pressure at the turbine housing, we collectively started going over the process to figure out what the issue was. We knew the turbo used to make 11 plus PSI on the trans brake a while back, and going over the old notes, it slowly got worse. But back then we didn't monitor turbine back pressure. So I decided that we needed to look inside the turbo, and to our surprise, we found extensive damage to the turbine wheel, and I found a piece of an exhaust valve stem from a valve that had broken back in 2018. The mystery is solved. I reached out to Bill Devine at Bullseye Turbo, and he agreed to repair the turbo. So stay tuned for part 4 when we get the repaired turbo back on and continue our quest to be the world's fastest 4200 drag car.